What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. This is Supergirl, Season 1, Episode 16, Falling. A very, very, very much needed episode. If you've watched my past reviews of Supergirl, you know I'm not a big fan of this show right now. I feel like they're making a lot of weird decisions with their characters. Um, they really focus in a lot about the relationships. Um, are Jimmy and Supergirl going to end up together? Is Wynn going to get a chance? Are Jimmy and Lucy going to work it out? It's been such a big deal, and all I care about is I want to know more about Supergirl. I want to see her experiencing her powers, learning to use them more efficiently, taking on Non and his whole plan that got going on with the Myriad. So I've been really disappointed that they haven't been touching on that hardly at all. It's even in the episodes where Non is the big part of it, it was still felt like that was still backseat to, oh my gosh, you need to go on a date now. So, I don't know. I've been very frustrated, and this episode just felt so fresh and new, and I'm just like, what is this show? Like, this is not the same show I've been watching. This is not the same Supergirl I've been watching. Because the relationships are there, but it actually feels warranted in this episode. It feels like it's part of the character development. Um, at least part of it does. Part of it feels like, I don't know, it feels like they're drawing it out to create more friction and drama that's unnecessary, but anyway. Um, but honestly, like, the beginning of this episode, before she gets affected by the red kryptonite, it feels like, yeah, I can see them sort of settling down. Wynn is with, what's her face now, the other receptionist. Um, Jimmy and Lucy have separated, so, Kara now has her chance, and even Hank Henshaw has a chance with the what's her face, the senator. I think she's a senator. Anyway, but it kind of feels like everything's going smooth. Cat Grant's on the talk, which I'm going to talk about that in a second. But she's talking about Supergirl and everything's going great, and it kind of feels a bit relaxed. So I'm just like, yeah, I could see, you know, after everything that's happened, I could see trying to settle down a relationship. That would make sense at this time. In fact, The Walking Dead right now, the second episode, even though I wasn't a big fan of how they handled it, I thought it was actually a pretty good idea to have two of the characters get together at the end of the episode. I just thought they didn't handle it as well as they could have, but it felt needed because, yeah, they're kind of in a safe place. They've been surviving fairly well for 2 months, feeling a bit relaxed, so I could see two characters who have been together for a while finally hooking up. I could see that. Same thing here. Like, the way they started off this episode, everything felt smooth and relaxed, and, it felt like things were going good for all of them. So, it was just like, yeah, I could see Wynn hooking up with this girl after being rejected by Kara. I could see Kara, feeling like I can finally go after Jimmy now that Lucy's out of the picture. It all kind of made sense. That being said, there still are problems that I have with Kara and Jimmy. Um, One, as I've said before, she has a bit more of a reason to like him now after getting to know him, but it felt like at the beginning of the season, it was just like she just liked him because he was tall, dark, and handsome. I've said that so many times. Now she actually does have a bit more of a reason because they've developed a friendship, so it does make a bit more sense now. But like I said, the show wants to keep dragging it on and drawing it out more and more. And at this point, it's weird to say because I've been so frustrated with this whole storyline. Actually, no, that what I'm about to say makes total sense. I've been frustrated with this storyline. I want them to get together because I want it to stop. I want this whole will they, won't they? I hate those storylines. I want that storyline to be done. which means they finally need to get together for that to end. I'm sure they'll still have some stupid relationship bullcrap drama thrown in there. Them trying to work their relationship out, stuff like that. But for now, it just feels like this was a good episode to have them get together. She experiences this trauma. She goes through this experience where all of her darkest thoughts come to surface. And at the end of it, she finally reveals how she... And then he's just like, stop, don't say what you're about to say. I need some time to think about this. I'm just like, oh, this is going to be drawn on even longer. So yeah, I actually did enjoy the relationship stuff in this one because it felt warranted. It's the first time in this season that the relationship has felt warranted. And then they just draw it out even more. I'm just like, why? I'm so sick of this story. Just finish it already. Anyway, moving on from that. A couple other nitpicks that I'm just going to go ahead and talk about because, I don't know, when it happened, I'm just like, why? And I've thought about it. I'm still kind of like, I don't really have a good reason. One is Maxwell Lord and the whole him planting the red kryptonite there. I didn't understand his plan because he said it wasn't to get to Supergirl. It was to try it out on his Kryptonian soldiers or whatever. He didn't really explain the plan well enough, and so it was kind of like, so he was just supposed to happen upon that rooftop, and like, what's this about a satellite dish? Like, what are you talking about? You're not making any sense right now. They didn't explain his plan very well, so at the end of it, I'm still like, I don't get it. I don't understand what he was trying. Like, did he really lure Supergirl there, or was that just an accident? Like, I don't know. It was really weird. At the same time, though, it could, like, the one thing that's kept me from really harshing on that is that it could have been part of the plan, to kind of lure Supergirl there, turn her into this thing, and then help them stop her by taking it out of her, just to see, how his Kryptonian stuff worked, or not Kryptonian, his kryptonite worked. So it could have still been part of his plan to see how it affected her, because I still don't think he cares that much about her. But anyway, that's why I'm not really saying too much about that and really getting upset that, oh, you didn't explain it well enough. Because it could be that he kept it vague to kind of keep himself from blame. So, but the other thing that did kind of bother me was Supergirl's attacking. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But she's attacking everybody. She attacks Alex, and she's about to shoot Alex, and then John reveals himself as the last Martian and starts attacking her. And then after the battle's over, after Alex takes the red kryptonite stuff out of Kara, they all surround him, and Alex looks at him and says, "Go, leave, run." And then he just turns back into Hank Henshaw. And he kind of... the reason that I'm also not harshing on this is because he does tell her, Alex, at the end of it, even if it means I have to stay in this prison for 1,000 years, if that's what it takes to keep you safe, I will. And I'm like, but how are you going to keep her safe inside of that prison cell? It just didn't make any sense. It would make more sense if he, flew away and then showed up to help them every now and then, to keep them safe secretly. As almost like a vigilante type thing. But to get yourself captured, to turn yourself in, is almost like you're just pretty much putting yourself in a position where you can't protect them. Somebody attacks them, what are you going to do? Break out of the prison cell that you specifically designed to keep people like you inside of? So anyway, I don't know, it did seem kind of bizarre for him to just turn himself in and his reasoning be, I want to protect you. Anyway, moving on though, those, like I said, were a couple nitpicks. So moving on to the good stuff. Melissa Benoist, I haven't really criticized her. I said before, she doesn't really strike me as Supergirl whenever I see her being Supergirl. Like, nothing about her says, that's Supergirl. In this episode, though, she really did show why she's in this part. She can act. First of all, like, her transformation, I knew, not that this has never been done before, but seeing her do it, it's like, it was exactly what I needed, because all these characters have been making, they've been the same, but they've been making stupid decisions as these characters, you know, like, it's been frustrating because there's been no change, really, in their characters, in their personality, aside from Wynn, in my opinion, and, I don't know, Wynn's kind of my favorite character right now. So there really hasn't been a whole lot of character change. We've seen the same characters throughout this entire season. In fact, if you go back to the very first episode, go to now, you pretty much see the same people. So to see her go through a change, especially after everything that's happened to her, to see her experience this, to see her darkest thoughts come to light, and to see her like show those thoughts and attack people and turn into evil Supergirl pretty much. Not only was it a lot of fun, but it was really well done too. Like, she looked like a completely different person. Like, whenever Alex showed up at her apartment and she's like, hello sister, I'm just like, holy crap, who is that? Like, it did not look like Kara at all. To see her change that much, to see her facial expressions, to see how she held herself, to see all of that change so much to where I was just like, that's not Supergirl. That's very well done. So yeah, that was a lot of fun to see. But not only that, but the show got kind of dark for a second. Like, I was really shocked when Astra died, because the thought of this show killing off a main character like that, kind of main character, seeing that happen was just kind of like, wow, I can't believe they actually did that. I can't believe they had the guts to do that. This episode took it a bit darker than we've been seeing, even compared to killing off Astra. You know, she, not only the way she talks, not only what she, you know, she's talking about how all humans are pathetic and I'm so tired of having to save people, all that. She's talking to Cat Grant because, you know, Cat Grant wants to know why there's a video of her letting a bad guy go. She's talking to her and she's just like, you don't know what I have the power to, you don't know what power is, because she was talking about being a woman of, like, she is the most powerful person in National City. She's like, you want to see real power? Watch. Tosses her off the building and then flies down and catches her. I'm just like, wow. And her whole attack was just like, I'd never expected the show to actually have the guts to really have her go all out and attack. In fact, I'm going to get into this a bit more in a second. The story overall for this episode is a bit darker than I thought they would go. Sorry if I keep... I'm really tired, so my eyes are like drooping. Anyway, but yeah, so her whole attack, you know, whenever Kat's on one of the big screens and people are watching her, she's talking about renouncing Supergirl, you know, saying you need to stay away from her. I'm like, is she about to destroy that thing? Is she about to like laser vision or fly through it? Like, is she? Because that would be freaking sick. Bam! Straight through it. I'm like, oh, she is a menace. Cops show up, start shooting her. She just kind of laughs, and then laser vision blows up the car. And then the DEO shows up, and Alex like is getting ready to shoot her with the weapon that Maxwell Maxwell Lord gave her that would remove the red kryptonite from her. She's about to shoot, and she just like flies and just takes out all the cops. Ends up breaking Alex's arm when she yanks her arm back, and that's when Jean shows up and takes her on, and then they fight. And CGI looked a bit better in this episode, so that was nice to see too. But like I said, the overall theme of this, like, I'll admit, one of the first scenes I kind of thought was just really cheesy because Cat Grant was on that show, The Talk, and talking about Supergirl, how she's so nice, and she flies down to this one girl who's dressed up as Supergirl, like a little girl. She's getting bullied by kids. Supergirl shows up and like, hey, how are you? And Laura, reads her name through using her X-ray vision, and pretty much convinces these bullies that this girl and her are best friends. I'm just like, this is weird. But then whenever Cat Grant is doing the video and talking about how Supergirl is now needs to be feared and not not to be trusted, it shows that little girl taking her Supergirl costume and throwing it in the trash. I was like, oh my god, this show just went really dark. Like, not really, really dark, but it just, for Supergirl, for how the tone has been, it was dark this episode. I never thought it would do that. Because, DC generally right now is fairly dark. You think about, the Dark Knight trilogy. Man of Steel was very dark. Batman v Superman looks very dark. Arrow and the Flash. Even the Flash, that's a bit cheerier than Arrow, is still fairly dark compared to most of the shows out there. Especially Marvel. You think about how many jokes Marvel cracks. It doesn't really have a dark tone. Age of Ultron did a little bit, but anyway. So, Supergirl has kind of stood out for me. Gotham's another one, just came up. Sorry. So, it really has stood out as far as its tone, because it's so much lighter. It's like nothing can go wrong in National City. This episode, crap hits the fan. It is the first time in the show that things really go wrong for Supergirl. She's had to deal with issues, stuff with Astra and her attacking and finding out that her aunt is behind the whole plot, and then what happened with Non, Astra dying. All that stuff was bad, but this is, she was a superhero to these people. She was their protector, their savior, and now she's fallen. She is now feared because of what she's done, because of what came over her. And the sad part about it all really is that Maxwell Lord is the reason behind it all. He's the one that, put the kryptonite there. He's the one that caused this whole thing and caused her to turn evil for a little bit. And even though it's like she acknowledges the fact that, yeah, her brain was in an altered state, but she still takes the responsibility on herself. I'm just like, that is very mature of this character. And I don't know if we've seen that type of maturity from her before. So, I don't know. It's just, the way they handled this episode was very, very good, in my opinion. And, I don't know. It just came out of nowhere. When I saw the info behind this, looking up the information about what this episode is going to be about, I was just like, so she's going to turn bad. I wonder what's going to happen. Is she just going to, act a bit more cocky? No, she turned evil. And it cost her her heroship, pretty much. And cost her a lot of support from the people of National City. So, and the very nice thing about this is, it doesn't end on a happy note. I already talked about the whole Jimmy thing. That one I could care less about. But she goes and talks to Cat Grant as Supergirl and tells her what was going on, what happened, apologizes. They don't end it on Cat Grant just makes a video saying, oh guys, Supergirl's gonna be okay now and everything's hunky-dory again. No, Cat Grant's like, it's gonna be hard to when they're to win their affection back. And then Supergirl's like, she's like, wait, I didn't say it was impossible. I just said it's going to be very hard. So it's kind of ending on a note of that's where this story is now. She was a hero. Everything was great for her. People loved her. Now people kind of fear her because of what she did and aren't easy to trust her anymore. She has to win that trust back. The only thing I hope they don't do is I really, really hope they don't just next episode, bam, she wins everybody's trust back by the end of the episode. I would like to see kind of, Batman v Superman's coming up soon, and one of the biggest things about that is Batman doesn't think that Superman should be trusted because of how powerful he is and the damage he can do on his own. I would like to see a few people out there kind of standing against her because of that. Seeing what she can do, seeing the damage that she caused because of her turn to evil for even that short amount of time. Look at what she did. I would like to see that kind of repercussion start to happen, and see where they can take that. So, all of that being said, love this episode, like I said, but based on past performance of the show, they've had good episodes before, followed by some and then bad episodes. So I'm not entirely sold that this show just got so much better. I was just really impressed with how they handled this episode. Now whether they can take that and do something more with it, I don't know. I hope so, because I really do want to like this show. I want the show to get better because, I'm going to be watching it for at least a little while. So I prefer to be watching a good show. But anyway, the one other thing I wanted to talk about was Cat Grant being on the talk. I've never mentioned this in my other reviews, but the one thing that kind of irks me in every episode is how many pop culture references they make. And my problem with it is that this is supposed to be set in a fictional city, and yet they keep making these references as if they're actually living in our day and time right now. They're making references to movie stars that we know. They're making references to, real sports athletes. I don't know why I said sports. Real athletes, real people. Now she's on a real TV show, The Talk. I'm just like, do they, that doesn't make any sense. It bugs me that they do that. I don't know why it does, but whenever she's talking about the next big story, she's like, Cat Grant, she's talking about the next big story, she's like, mentions some actor's name that she's interviewed before, and I'm just like, he's not supposed to be real in your world, I don't know. It just kind of, it bugs me. And then they made a Kim and Kanye joke this episode, and I really, really almost puked at that one. The worst part is they actually treated it like it was, I don't know, it was Kara talking about when's the last time that a rebound relationship worked, talking to Alex about Jimmy and Lucy, and Alex went, Kim and Kanye? And I'm just like, what? Did you just use that as an example? Are you stupid? So anyway, not necessarily a nitpick, but just something that bugs me personally. I don't know why, and I may never know why, but stop making real references to our world in your fictional world. That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so yeah, good episode overall. Really did take some chances that I hope they take forward and go forward with them and keep doing good stuff with it, because this has the potential to be a good show. Superman is a very good character. Supergirl is a character that's not touched on as much and has the potential to really pull in a good audience. It's because the thing is, they've stopped focusing on, oh, it's a girl doing it, girl power. They've stopped focusing on that. They don't really touch on the fact anymore that it's a woman doing it. Nobody really makes jokes about, oh, if it were a man flying around, because that's not what it's about. It's about a superhero who cares about the gender. That's the point. It's not about, oh, it's a girl doing a man's job. It's just a superhero doing a superhero's job. So they used to have that kind of thrown in there a little bit because Callista, I went to her name first, Cat Grant. Um, she's a woman of power, and so in her mind she often makes references to the fact that she is a woman of power, and people sometimes don't respect that. But then in the episode this week, she actually makes a good point that, you're the most one of the women on the talk. You're one of the most powerful women in National City. She's like, well, I just want to say that I'm the most powerful person in National City. And it's like, see, because of your character, that could be a stance saying, who cares about my gender? But at the same time, it could just say, no, I'm actually more powerful than any man. So I don't know. I'm glad that they're not really focusing on that anymore. They've kind of taken the focus away, because that's not a big deal. Who actually cares about that anymore besides the women who are the feminazis? Who really cares about it besides them? So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this review before I fall asleep while talking. So yeah, overall really enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed it too, and hopefully you're kind of on the same wavelength with me that you want to see the show get better. So yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know what you want to see them do with this whole Supergirl is now the city's turned against her. The hero has fallen. That whole storyline. What do you want to see them do with that? Leave a like and subscribe for more Supergirl content, and check out my other videos for other TV shows. So I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.